All right, welcome to the Voncast show. Today I got a special host with me, special guest, Karen. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. I think you're more like a co-host this time around because you know the topics more than I do.
Oh,
So
we're just talking.
we're just talking.
We're just talking. We're gonna have a conversation. It's all
yeah.
good.
I like conversations with Karen just because they're always good conversations, regardless of what it's about, and over text or on the phone. So I figured, hey, let's utilize our conversation and put it on the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
So thanks for being here. So we'll
Thanks for
talk.
having me.
You're very welcome. We'll talk about, I guess, graduation. Like, what was it like graduating? I mean, how did you feel the couple of weeks leading up to graduation and when you graduated?
So, it was actually super rushed, super frazzled, and I've been in college for a very long time. So it's like we both know, like we've been there like forever, and we're not like the traditional, straight out of high school went into college, right? So I took like 6 years off, came back. So I went to community college first time around for a couple years, but didn't know what I was going to do, right?
Mhm.
Just followed my high school friends to school. Eventually figured school wasn't for me because I didn't do very well. And then all I did was work. And then eventually my dad was like, hey, you should go to paralegal, at least get like paralegal certification. It's only 2
Mhm.
years, And my partner at the time was like, yeah, you should do something like that. It's like comes kind of natural to you to like argue with people. So I was like, okay, sure, why not? So I went to paralegal. I went into being a paralegal, took some classes, and it actually was super easy for me.
Mhm.
So I got my certificate, got hired at a law firm, worked there for like 5 years, and then decided like there's no way up. That was just kind of like, what am I going to do? Just be a paralegal for the rest of my life? So the
Mhm.
next thing would become an attorney, right? I'm already in the field. So I figured go back to school. Went in as a poli-sci major at LACC, transferred to CSUN as a poli-sci major, accidentally fell into Asian M because of Professor Lai's class.
Mhm.
And that kind of took me on to changing my major, became an AS major. And so it was just like a long process. And of course, like the weeks leading up to graduation was like kind of surreal. I was like anxious, nervous, but at the same time I was just like, wow, I can't believe this is happening like already,
Mhm.
It was like all this time, like all of these years, all these assignments and like all this stuff compiled all the way up until like, dang, it's gonna happen in like a month. And then all of a sudden, dang, it's gonna happen in like 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, dude, it's like 3 days away, So it was a trip. It was a major trip. I was super frazzled. And then I was an intern with ASPP this last semester. So there was just a lot of stuff going on. And especially with me, I'm always just like, oh yeah, we can do that. Oh yeah, we can do that. And here I am trying to like throw extra events and like plan extra stuff just because like, yeah, it'll be cool.
Right.
But everyone was like, no, I don't think we can do that. And like nobody wanted to tell me. And I'm like, we can do it. We can totally do it. They're just like, no, we don't think so. Cool, that's fine with me. It's all good because it actually worked out for the better because we were super swamped. And I wanted to do this like graduation thing for all the graduates. Didn't really happen, but it was still cool. Like we were able to hang out. We had the luncheon thing, which was nice. And then like I was telling you earlier with my fam, like I was a little disappointed. I thought my dad wasn't gonna come. So that kind of like made me sad, and I wasn't like in the best spirits, but at the same time I was like, okay, I'm graduating. Like this is our day. This is my day. Like we're finally here. Like let's do it. It's okay. It's okay. Like I was talking to myself and I was just like, it's fine. Like everything will be okay. It's all right. It's not a big deal. So that kind of got me through the day. But then my dad, ended up coming to the luncheon, so that was cool and that was good. And it just felt so surreal, like super surreal. And like I only had a day to pack and get ready, and I was already out to Europe. So it was like super rushed too,
So graduation was Monday. You flew out Wednesday.
Yeah.
Talk to us about Europe. You posted a lot of great content, pictures and videos. What did you see? Well, like, what was beneficial about going to Europe other than sightseeing, obviously, and seeing family?
So it was just great to like just be somewhere that wasn't a place that you're very familiar with, and not have any type of deadlines to worry about, any schedule, anything to just detach from responsibility, and that was great. But family too for me was a big one. Like my cousin and I that lives there, we're really close. and she used to live with me here for like a couple years, and then after that she would visit every few years. So for me, going there was actually like this big thing because it's been in the works for like the past 6 years for me, and it was finally happening. So I was just like, you know, people knew I was going to Europe, but then I was graduating, and then it was like all this stuff had to get done before graduating. So I was like, I can't think about Europe. I can't plan anything until I have all this other stuff done, because once I focus on that, like I can't do anything else, because I was just so excited to see like my family and to also like go see all these new places, you know? And then like people would ask me like, what are you going to see? What are you going to do? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know, Paris, London, Amsterdam. But other than that, I left it up to my cousin. And she knew I was frazzled. She knew I had all kinds of stuff going on. So she ended up kind of planning most of the trip for me, which I am totally grateful for. And we went to all these places that I wouldn't even have found on my own. Like Mont Blanc, I think was like my favorite place, my favorite destination.
Was that the mountain with like the sea and the desert?
No, that's Dune de Pilar.
Okay.
That's the sand mountain.
Mont Blanc, I've heard about it. It's a mountain, right?
It's called Mont Blanc because there's snow 24/7. Yeah, all year round.
How high was it up in there?
You know, I don't know all the details. I'm sure it was really, really high. But you know, you can see my pictures. It's like it's super high.
How did you get there?
So they take a cab. Like there's a cabin that takes you up to one point, and there's like 2 main points. That day we couldn't go up to the second point because the cabin was broken, but the cabin will take you up to the first point, and people just hiked up to the top, which is what we did. But yeah, it was super cool, beautiful, absolutely amazing. And then just being outdoors and like just breathing in that fresh air, not seeing a line of smog, and like things were just greener, more lush, and the clouds just looked more white and pure, and like it just felt like great, you know. Like I had so many moments where my mind was just blank, and I was just like, wow, like you're just in awe, you know. And I love like that, being in that moment, just sitting there like at peace, you know, breathing it all in, taking it all in, and just being like in awe of like your surroundings,
in
you
the
know?
present.
Yeah, and just like being there, you know.
How many weeks were you there for?
I was there for 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Yeah, 27 days.
27 days. Wow. Any highlights from your trip?
Tons of highlights. Yeah, tons. But I mean, not one, but there were a lot of things that happened that were unexpected. So yeah, I had like great sightseeing. I went to all these cool places, bought all kinds of stuff, to the point where I had to add another luggage. I bought so much stuff, crazy. And I actually left the stuff that I brought because I was overweight. My luggage was overweight. So I left a lot of the stuff that I brought with me, which is fine. It made my aunt happy and it brought her joy. That was one thing I did before I left. Before graduation, all that stuff, I did a whole tidying up thing. I don't know if you heard of that book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo.
What's it about?
It's about tidying up not only your material things that you have, but it like eventually tidies up like your life. So it's like the baggage that you hold.
Interesting.
And, like, yeah, it was really cool, and that really helped me out a lot because, I mean, I think I was like going to be a hoarder, like so bad, but it didn't seem like it because I have like, you know, I moved, so I had like all this. My apartment was filled with all this stuff, and like all of it was mine, and I was like, holy crap, I have a lot of stuff for like one person. So I really needed to change that, and I ended up bringing that book thanks to Aaron, who gave it to me, and it just completely changed like how I keep my stuff, because the main thing was that you only surround yourself with things that bring you joy. You only surround your things that make you happy, and you get rid of all the things that they don't mean anything to you anymore, or you're holding onto them for different reasons that it just doesn't make you happy and doesn't bring you joy. And it makes total sense, because now when you wake up and let's say like your clothes, like every piece of clothing that I have are articles of clothing that I love. Like I like how they feel, or I like how I look in them, or I like, you know, so it's not like, oh, I don't want to wear that, or why am I holding on to that? It's been years. So I don't have anything like that anymore. So I did this whole tidying up thing before I left and before graduation. So it was okay for me to leave that stuff behind, because I was like, you know, my aunt fits it, which was great. And a couple of my cousins fit some of my other clothes and some of the stuff I brought. And it was so nice because she was super happy when she tried it on. And she was like, oh, no, you wore this. It's okay. You look so pretty when you wore it. I'm like, no, now it's yours. And you can look pretty. It's fine. Like, it brought them joy. So that was fine. I left that behind. But yeah, I bought all kinds of stuff and all that. But like a lot of unexpected things happened while I was in Europe because I have family there. So a lot of conversations about my past and like my life came up that I had with my cousin that we didn't have the opportunity to talk about before. And it's crazy because she and I had a lot of similarities. And one main point was something in my past where I lost someone very close to me. She also lost that same person. And it was the first time where she told me the full length story from beginning to end. And it was very tragic. And of course, I relived those memories for myself too. And it brought up a lot of, opened up a lot of scars again, and opened up a lot of, old memories. But we were able to kind of have that conversation, and it brought us a lot closer. And she taught me a very valuable lesson that she didn't want to waste time. Like for her, like she felt like she wasted a lot of time, like not, being with the person that she loved, the way that she wanted to be, and she was like, now, I mean, she's with my cousin-in-law and she has 2 kids and she's happy, but she was just saying, now when things come up, it's like, I just don't want to waste time. I don't want to argue, it's like, okay, just, we can do it. And it's not a big deal. Like, why spend all this time, kind of arguing or being in a disagreement or wanting to buy something or not buy something or whatever it is? Why waste all that time? I don't want to waste time. Right. So that was one thing when I came back, I was like, God, I feel like I'm just like wasting time. Like all this stuff has no meaning, and meaning's like it's a big deal for me. Like stuff has to have meaning for me to like really care or like, like have passion about something. And like when I came back, I was like, man, looking around, like especially the first day of work. Like when I came back and I was at home, I was like sad and depressed, because I thought like, oh, I just missed everything. I missed my cousins. Like of course I cried when I left, and she cried because it's just sad, like you don't know when you're gonna see each other again. So it was really sad, and I thought like it's okay. It's because I miss it, and that's part of traveling, But when I got to work that first day, I was like, way here. Like I'm looking around and I'm like, I am wasting time. Like none of this has meaning to me. I'm doing work that I'm not passionate about. Not to knock what I do, like people do it, it's fine, it's a job, it's a career, it needs to be done. I get it, but for me personally, like I can't, I just can't.
I agree. I think, well, I did drugs for about like pretty much 10 years straight from when I was 19 to 29. I think a lot of it had to do with I felt like I was missing something in life and that I needed to fill my life with these like short-lived thrills, It worked for a little bit, it's just it doesn't work when it's gone. And then you feel, your body just feels out of it and like your mind. And I realized all the time from when I was doing all these things, I wasn't doing music. I stopped making music in 2007 just because at the time this technology wasn't available. I had no one with a studio, and school kind of caught up. It's like, well, I need to like go to school. I don't know anyone else that rapped or made music, and I said, let me just do this college thing. And I think within that, I lost meaning. And whenever I tried to make music, I put it off. And when I tried to write, I couldn't write, and I felt frustrated, I felt defeated. So I used a lot of drugs. That happened for like 10 years. And I think in 2012, I had a realization. It's like, I can't do this and like pursue what I want to do. I have been pursuing what I wanted to do the whole time. And it took me till like 6 years later to realize that, dude, you're like getting at that point where like you got to decide, and I slip up once in a while here and there, but like it's a lot less frequent. And now I have physical proof this is all happening. It's like, okay, I'm not going to mess it up for that. So I definitely agree. I was wasting a lot of time. I got into a lot of trouble, but with that, I made a lot of good friends. But yeah, I think like wasn't living my purpose or the purpose that I gave to myself. And with that, I was lost. I'm like, well, let me just kind of just waste away in that sense. So I totally agree with wasting time. Yeah. And this is now a form of escape, making music and podcasting. But
but it's like a passion, and you enjoy it, and it's all about that. Like, we have to be able to do the things that we enjoy doing, that sparks that fire in us, or like that sparks something in us,
Yeah. I think in being in the department, Asian American Studies, it helped me kind of find that, because it didn't have to be necessarily a teacher or like a academic person or in the government. I mean, I like Alan's classes a lot because it pushed our creative boundaries. And no other class for me did that. So that was cool. And the teachers are super supportive. The professors are, and our colleagues are. And I was like, I'm gonna go for it because this is all I know. My dad always told me, you need to be doing something 10 years and then you'll be good at it. I've been rapping for 10 years. That's all I knew. In 2013, I'm like, what else can I do? I don't know anything else. I don't want to do anything else. Like, this is all I know. And now it's pretty much all I know. I mean, I can do more life stuff, but.
No, but that's good though, you know?
Yeah. It's kind of nice. I kind of pitted myself where I was like, well, either you're going to rap or you're not going to do anything. So it's not the best move, but like, I just felt like, well, I never really did too much interning. I never got into the whole like interning for businesses that I had no passion about because I mean, everyone did it, but I was like, I just don't. Maybe part of it was I was lazy, but it's like
but you didn't feel it.
I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But then there's like a point where like, well, sometimes you have to do certain things.
Yeah, but then see, that kind of goes back to some conversations we'd had before. You know, like people are just telling you things. Oh, you have to do something for 10 years until you're good at it. Okay, that's your opinion. Maybe it took you 10 years, you know, to be good at something. Not talking about him specifically, but I'm just saying maybe it took, you know, some people a certain amount of time, and they're preaching to you because they can only speak from their own experiences. You know, and it's like, okay, what works for you might not work for me, or what you think is you know, blue might not be blue, or whatever the case may be. You know, and so. I like to listen, and I like to, you know, take other people's advice, and I take it in, you know, but ultimately you take in everything that everybody says, and you don't, you know, invalidate what they say as not being true, but you kind of make your own determination, you know, and I've come to learn that too. It's like, yeah, people will tell you stuff and it worked for them, but it might not work for you, or you can take it and be like, all right, cool, I'll consider that, you know, but ultimately do your own thing. You know?
Yeah, are you aware of this person named Gary Vee? He does like motivational speaking and like business stuff, and he says what you should do in life is like find something you're passionate and you have fun doing, and then kind of see how you can make profit off that. So because if you like watching 8 hours of TV or playing video games 8 hours a day, how are you going to make money? It's crazy. Now you can. People subscribe and watch videos of people playing video games and talking.
For real.
So it's like technology is definitely given that option. And if you can do that, you can do a lot more stuff.
Yeah. So. No, I agree. You know, like growing up, not growing up, but like when, you know, there's always questions about like, well, what are you going to do? Or like, you know, you have to have a job or, you know, stuff like that. I always imagined myself like just being out. You know, like I never thought of myself being in an office and just kind of, you know, and working in a law firm like for 5 years, I was miserable like the last 3 years. You know, 3 years of just being miserable and like hating your boss and not wanting to go to work and like grinding your teeth every day in and out. And all I heard like from the partner that was supportive, but like was like, well, don't bite the hand that feeds you, you know, and it can't be that bad. And it's just like, okay, well, you don't really truly understand because you're not me, you know, and you're not there every day, you know, and I wanted an out. I just, you know, comfort just is one of those things that just eats at you, you know, like it's safe. You get a paycheck, you get income, but then it's like, dude, you want to be miserable? You know? And I was like, no, I'm not about that. Like, I do not want to be miserable every day. I do not want to hate what I do. I want to be able to enjoy what I do, you know? And what I did, like working in a law firm and paperwork and like, you know, being a paralegal, like I like it. You know, I like the work. I'm like this, you know, I like to do work. But if it's not something where I really enjoy doing, like subject, you know, matter wise or substance wise, I'm like, I'm going to try to look for something else, you know?
Yeah, it's a little tough, you know, because like you, I'm not the typical college student. I graduated towards my late 20s, and everyone graduated like 24. And
dude, for real, it makes me feel horrible.
Yeah, and for the longest time, it ate away at me. Like, wow, my friends are getting jobs, have like cars, and like houses, and possibly families. And in my head, I'm like, wait, but like you were rapping with me like 10 years ago. What happened? I think I'm one of the only few people that stuck with the music. I mean, to each his own. It's just like, what about like rapping in your garage and getting Costco pizza and making that makeshift rap booth. Like, I mean, it's great. You work for all these great companies, but I guess like I was like one of the few that was like, this is it for me.
That's cool though. I mean, you
Yeah.
saw that already, you know, and I think you saw that at like an early age or like an early time in your life, but you listen to other people, you know, and that's okay too. Like you got to dabble around and kind of figure it out to see what you don't like, you know, or what you do like. And what your journey took you to was rapping. You know, you kind of went through all that and you went back to what you knew you could do, you know, what you knew you enjoyed and what you knew was your passion.
So what made you want to go back to school? I mean, it seemed like, I guess like you were miserable, but you know, you had a job and everything, and it's harder. Like the longer you stop going to school, the harder it is to come back because you're just like, oh well.
For real, it was hard.
It was hard.
Yeah.
What made you want to decide to go back?
Because there the opportunities, you know, like I couldn't get a better paying job if I didn't have that paper, you know, and my partner at the time, everyone, of course, education is important. Education is important, you know, knowledge is power, you know, all that stuff. And I'm like, whatever. But then when it got down to it, it's like, yeah, what am I going to be doing? Like, I can't get to the top position if I don't have a BA or MA, you know, a master's or whatever, you know? So I was like, I guess it's true. And then, you know, I wasn't a good student. Honestly, I was not a good student back in the day. I know y'all can't see that because I'm like so like hardcore on school right now, but I was not a good student. I was like a failing student.
Really?
Yes.
Me too.
I must have taken like algebra 5 times because I failed it.
Me too. I was not a math person.
Definitely not. The stereotype is not true.
I hate that when people, oh, you're Asian, you're good at math. I'm like,
dude, I got that so much growing up. It's horrible. But, you know, we all got it.
It was just, it was tough because it's like, I believed, like, why am I not good at math? I'm good at English. I'm good at history.
I used to be like, so what? I'm not good. What? Don't copy me. I'm not good. You'll fail.
Yeah. It was just hard because I think I got anxiety with doing algebra and math.
Same.
So many times I'd write the right answer on the test, but I would doubt myself. I would doubt myself, erase it, and then I write something else, get the wrong answer. I see the right answer, I erase the right answer.
Aww.
And I think we can segue into this topic, but like self-doubt.
Yeah, a lot of self-doubt for sure.
We have this voice in our head. You mentioned this that nags at us. It's like, oh, you can't do it. You know, you're not going to do good, or you worry about, you fear like the unknown of failing. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I had tons of self-doubt. Like growing up, it was really implemented in me. My parents divorced when I was 8. I moved in with my grandmother and my aunt, and it was like a verbally abusive type of situation, you know? And, you know, Asian American, like, families, especially traditional Chinese families, what I grew up in, like, there's not a lot of love. You know, there's not a lot of affection. It's really difficult for, you know, my family members to show love and even say it. You know, there isn't a lot, I love you, daddy, I love you. No, there isn't any of that. It's a, okay, did you eat? You know, or, you know, so it's very, you know, traditional Chinese household. So, and my parents divorced. So my aunt, she's still a little, like, I think she has some mental issues because growing up, she used to say like very hurtful things that to me is still pretty traumatic, you know, that it took me a lot of self-talk to kind of overcome stuff like that. And she, I think, started a lot of that self-doubt in me because I was young when my parents divorced and my mom abandoned us, like my sister, myself, and my little brother. I was 8 at the time. I think my brother was like 2. My sister was 10, like 9. And my aunt used to say things like, oh, that's why your mom left. Like, your mom doesn't love you. You're not worth loving. You know, you're the reason she left. And, you know, as a young child, those are very damaging words, you know? And then for you to already feel abandoned and then to feel that you're unloved, you know, by your mother, like the person who gave birth to you, you know? And it was just very hurtful. So growing up with stuff like that. And then, you know, constantly be called stupid or like, oh, you didn't do that. Like, I did a lot of chores, clean the house a lot, you know. So, you know, we're kids and you make mistakes or you drop something or whatever. But it was just a lot of verbally damaging words growing up. Yeah. So in my head, I hear things like that. So I would always be like, oh, you're so stupid, and like, oh, you're so dumb, and like, well, why would you do that? Or why did you say that? Oh, he's stupid, you know, like. So we grew up in that type of environment, and that was the voice that I heard in my head growing up, all through my life, basically. And it wasn't until like adulthood, close to adulthood, where I started looking into like entrepreneurial things. So I did network marketing for some time in my life, and I met a lot of cool people. Got recruited, you know, in different companies. But a big thing, especially with sales, is personal development, right? Because it's like people are gonna say no a lot, right? You're anything that you're in, anything, not even just sales, anything, and you want to approach someone and say, hey, I got this idea, I want to do blah, blah, blah. People are gonna be like, oh, that's not gonna work, or like, oh no one's gonna believe that, or like no one's gonna buy that. So you're always gonna get criticisms. People are always gonna tell you no, and it just beats you down. You know, it beats you down constantly. People saying no positive feedback, no nothing, right? So when I was doing network marketing, there was a lot of personal development, basically building yourself up to be strong, to fight against the people who are going to be knocking you down every single day. Every time you approach someone, someone's going to tell you no. Out of maybe 10 people that you talk to, maybe one will say yes, right? So you have to really build yourself up to have that thick skin for all those no's, right? So that's kind of where my personal development started. Started listening to people like Jim Rohn, John Maxwell, Les Brown, all these people that were motivational speakers, right? And got a lot of like motivational stuff and a lot of philosophies that I still live by today. But it kind of helped me realize, like, okay, little things like positivity, right? And having positive aspirations and like all this stuff. I was like, oh, it's cool. And then like I think around that time, like The Secret came out too. So yeah, it was all about like whatever you think of, right? Like positivity will come to you. So I was really like, Aaron and I call ourselves hippies now, because we're like, we're all free spirits and like, you know, be positive and love and self-love and self-care. But it's totally true, because like, dude, words are damaging, so damaging. And like the way you talk to yourself is the most important. And I don't think I truly realized that until my cousin, who I lived with when I was growing up, I took care of her. And we lived in the same household, so I knew what she was going through. When I left that household and she was going into college, like throughout high school and everything, like we talked, we were close. But she would tell me, of course, all the things that would happen in the house. And of course, I grew up in that house, so I knew the shit that she was going through. And I would try to be like, listen, just, you know, don't listen to your mom. Don't, you know, I know it's your mom and she loves you, she does, but that's just the way she is. Like, don't let it get to you. Don't take it personal. You're smart. You're not stupid. You're beautiful. You're not fat, you know, and stuff like that. And it's like, it's hurtful. And I felt that too, because I knew exactly what she was going through. I got that shit all the time. You're ugly. Look at your face. Look at your hair. You're fat, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, really? Really? You know? So I didn't realize that until she was going through it. And then I had to kind of coach her through it because I knew how much hurt she was going through, because I felt that hurt. So when she was going to college, I was like, listen, you need to go to college far, far, far away from your house. Do not live at home. Do not live at home. She was like, well, you see, Riverside's like, no, you need to go like far, 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 far away. So she ended up going to San Diego. And like, we talked a lot, you know, we're really, really close. And whenever she would have, you know, things that bothered her or something happened or whatever, and she's crying, like it really hit home with me, you know, because she reminded me of how I used to be. And I wish that I had someone like me to kind of coach me through that. And one thing I remember telling her all the time was, you need to be your best cheerleader. Like, no one's going to be cheering you on. In the end, you only have you. You know, no one's going to be there in your ear. Oh, you're so great. You're so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Like, even if some people are, which your friends are and like all that stuff. But in the end, who's in your mind when you're lying by yourself in your bed? You are, you know, and you have to be able to cheer yourself on through whatever shit that you're going through. And I'm like, I can only do so much to like help you. I can only do so much to like give you strength and like inspire you, or maybe like show you love, you know. But in the end, like, you have to love yourself. Like, you have to be able to pull yourself out of whatever freaking rut that you're in, because I knew that I did that, you know. Like, there's so many dark days like in my life where it was like, dude, so dark. I'm sure you know, like so dark that you just don't think that it's ever gonna have light ever again, you know. But it's like you pulled yourself out of that, you know, and you have to be able to do that. Like you have to be your best cheerleader. No one else is going to be cheering you on in the end. It's only up to you.
Yeah.
So
that's tough because I went through similar situations where I was like verbal and physical abuse, and I think
physical too. Yeah.
I really think that it's scary. It kind of trips me out where they said there's some statistics say that kids who use drugs, people who use drugs, they've been like damaged in their youth, and I'm like, oh my god, like I wonder if that's why it applies to me. And I went through that too, and like I commend you, not that there's anything wrong with it, but I commend you for not taking that route where like you drink excessively or you take drugs.
I mean, there's parts where, you know, we delve a little too much into certain things.
Right,
but, yeah.
But you didn't take it to like the extreme,
you know. It's okay. You realize it now. You're aware.
Yeah.
You're aware. You know.
But it's tough because I had to live by that, and I had to live through similar situations, and it really resonated with me. I really thought like I was like that, and my old roommate said, you know, you're actually not stupid. You only think that because people have told you in the past. You're actually pretty smart. And I didn't think I was very capable, but then like, you know, over time I learned through being independent that I can do it. And yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of those sentiments, and it can be really damaging, and it's crazy because sometimes like our family like probably thinks it's a joke. They think it's a joke, but like these words actually have like a lot of weight and meaning, especially when it comes from family. Friends, okay, maybe I understand they're mad or just being immature, but people you love, people you live with, and they say this to you, it's damaging. I don't know how some people like are immune to it or just like shrug it off, but I couldn't, and coping with it was throughout like my like late teenagers, like in adulthood, was like doing drugs and drinking, because to me it was like a way to like forget about it even temporarily, even though I knew like it's not gonna fix it, but
it was a form of escape.
Yeah.
You know, and we all look for things like that. That's how we cope. That's how we grieve.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and that's really cool that you're able to observe that, like that voice in your head. I mean, I still have it time to time, but I realize what helps me out is like I avoid or like distance myself from the people that say that, even if it's close to family, even if it's family, because you said at the end of the day, all you have is yourself.
True.
I'm not the type to. I think I was before to blame my family for like my issues, but now it's like, okay, you did that. Your success is dependent on how you view yourself, and you can only blame yourself. I mean, certain things you have to blame other people, but I guess part of it's like, well, am I gonna like live by what my parents say and like take a safe job and turn me bitter and resentful? Or am I just gonna be like, F it, I'm just gonna do my thing. I have a job that provides for me. I'm just gonna like go for it because, like you said, life is short, and why would I waste time doing something I don't like?
Well, and you're only in control of the things that you're in control of. You know, you can't control what anyone else says. You can't control what anyone else does.
Yeah.
You know, you can control how they make you feel. If they say something and it's hurtful, like you feel that, you know, and you can control, okay, am I gonna linger on that? Am I gonna let it damage me? Am I gonna let those words get to me? Or, you know, anything. And you are in control of your feelings. You are in control of your mind. Yeah, let it hurt. Let the feelings come. Let the anger come, the sadness or happiness or whatever it is that you feel. Feel it. But then decide what you want to do with it. You know, like self-control. And you can only control what you can control. You can't control the world. You can't control what's out there.
Yeah.
But you can control how it affects you. You know, because in the end, it's just really taking care of yourself, you know, like mind, body, and soul, like all of that stuff, you know. But like for me, mentally, it's just really like key, you know, like that self-talk. And it took me a long time, and I mean, you know, I'm not the best to myself. I'm really hard on myself, I have to admit, you know. And a lot of people have told me that you're too hard on yourself, and I'm like, no, I really don't think that, or I'm not that good, or you know, you're just saying that because you're my friend, or you're just saying that because you love me, and I get it. I would do the same thing, you know. But it's just sometimes I just don't. I'm still working through it, you know. I'm still working through it.
Yeah.
And it's a process.
Definitely.
You know, to really truly love yourself is definitely a process.
Yeah.
I commend the people who truly love yourself and aren't arrogant.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
because
hard.
it's like
It's a fine line. It can be like a line between that. But
you got to be humble,
yeah,
you know, like
humble is
dude,
a big key.
yeah.
I mean,
because we don't have everything, and
No.
you know, we work hard, and you know, we get what we deserve, you
Mhm.
know, and you work. You know, working hard is relative. Everyone has their own definition of, you know, working hard.
working hard, working smart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's all about loving yourself and talking to yourself.
Yeah,
in
and
a
it's
good manner.
like, so what do you like? Let's say like I don't know, because today something came up. My mom said something like I told her like, please don't ask about me getting another job.
Mm.
She did. I was cool with it. I was gonna yell on the phone and say anything about it, but it ate away at me. But then I realized I don't know, like I'm not gonna let this ruin my day. I have a lot to do, and I was thinking about that kind of stuff yesterday at work, and it affected my performance because I messed up on the change and I caught myself. I had to call the manager to like change some stuff, and luckily the customer was patient and he was cool. But it's just crazy how people don't realize like your mental well-being can affect the actual physical real thing.
People get sick.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple friends, you know, something eats at them so much they end up physically getting sick.
Isn't that interesting? Because
Well,
you think like, oh, it's all in your head.
No, it's connected. And that's the thing with like mental health. Like some people shrug it off like it's nothing. No, we all have mental health issues.
Yeah.
There's there's nobody on this earth that does not have a mental health issue.
Yeah.
You know, it may not be a major one, right? That's diagnosed or whatever, but we all have mental health issues, you know, like we all go through all these thoughts, we all go through all these processes, and it's in our mind, you know, and we, talk to yourself, but it's like, we're not walking around like going, like hitting our, you know, like talk to yourself is perfectly fine. We have thoughts in our head. We are talking to ourselves constantly all the time, you know, and it's perfectly fine. But yeah, like you said, you know, even distancing yourself from people who are toxic, because that is one major thing. Like negativity and people who are toxic, like stay away.
Yeah.
You know, stay far, far away, because people like that, they just like to pull others down because they're not where they want to be. You know, and it's like, I'm sorry you're not happy with your life, but you don't need to pull me into that. You know, I'm sorry. Like people at work are so funny. Like there are these people who are super bitter, right? And I'm like, I'm in a pretty good mood all the time. Even when I'm sad or I'm depressed, it's like when I'm, you know, I'm always like, good morning, good morning.
I agree.
And people hate that shit. You know, like people who are bitter, they do not like that. And so I actually stopped saying good morning and I just say morning, but I'm still chipper. And I'm like, morning, morning.
Yeah.
And like people are bitter and they hate that. And then they're like, really? And like sometimes I, like in my head, I'm like, just because you hate your life doesn't mean I need to hate my life, you know? And like people who are like working or whatever, like cashiers or, you know, whatever, and they're bitter and they're mad and they're treating me like shit or they're rude. I just want to be like, dude, just because you hate your job, don't take that shit out on me. Like I'm not doing anything. I'm just buying groceries. Like chill, you know?
Yeah.
Don't be mad at me because your life sucks. That's not cool.
Yeah.
You know, that is not cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't talk shit to me because I'm your daughter, I'm your son, or I'm your friend or whatever, because you're not happy with where you're at. Don't talk shit to me because you're not happy. That's not cool. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, I think it's a reason why I keep minimal contact with
I think
family.
that's a good choice. You know, like negativity and people who bring you down, like, you know, even if they're your cool friends and, you know, you've known them all your life, let's say you have like a best friend that you've grown up with or whatever, you know, and now it's like, dude, they bring you down. I'm sorry, but sometimes people in your life aren't meant to stay there in your life, your entire life. You know, they're there for a reason. They're there for a chapter, maybe a few chapters of your life. But then in the end, like at a certain point, you realize like, hey, I think this is the end of where we need to be, you know?
Yeah, I think it's really cool if you're able to surround yourself with people who are positive or like-minded. Maybe not the same exact goal, but just like I surround myself with people like that. I mean,
dude, and you see the change, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
It's big. I mean, definitely the people in the department are so supportive. Professors, even, because no other professors, I mean, maybe I don't have that experience with other professors in different departments, ever sat me down or like, well, how are you doing?
That actually care.
Yeah. I was kind of like, wait, it's not about school. What do you mean? Like, am I failing a class? Are you asking? No, like, how's life? I'm like, oh, well,
You're on a personal
so and
level.
so, yeah, so and so, and like, and that's really cool that
Mm-hmm.
that department was able to do that, and I'm forever grateful for that because I think that department made me want to finish college.
Mm-hmm.
To a certain point, I didn't want to finish. I was working a dead end job, and I was like, I don't care. I'm getting money. I'm getting high over the weekend and drink.
Living life.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go to work fucked up or hungover, but fuck it, this is life. And
yeah, what's school got to do with it?
yeah, but then I was like, is this what I want to do? Like, I saw the people graduate who were like freshmen graduate, and I'm like, damn, it's a cycle. It's happening over and over. But yeah, I definitely think surrounding yourself with positive people, if you can, makes a big difference. Makes all the difference in the world.
Supportive people, positive people, definitely, yeah, big part. And it's hard when like the negative people are your family because they are your family, right? But again, try just spend a little less time with them. And I mean, for me, one big thing was actually having enough bravery in me to approach it, like having a conversation, and because of all the things that happened in Europe and like in these past few weeks, I've opened up to a group of my friends, about like what's really been bothering me, and that I've been really sad, and literally I've been pretty depressed. And it was hard to really delve into those details, but I had this conversation where it was like, we need to share, like we have to talk about things like that. Because I mean, I had, a couple of my girlfriends were like, oh, why didn't you say anything sooner? Or, like, we're here for you, or, stuff like that. And I'm like, we're always afraid. Like, I really thought about it, and I was like, we're afraid of judgment. We're afraid of what other people will think, and people don't like to talk about sad stuff. People don't like to talk about death. People don't they don't like to talk about that because it brings people down, right? But it needs to be talked about, like that's part of the healing, is talking about it, accepting it, and dealing with it and moving on if you can, and for some people it takes longer, and it's fine. I've actually been going through this for a very, very, very long time, and some people would just be like, dude, get over it. Okay, maybe you can get over it, but I can't, and it's a process, and it may not seem like I'm hurting inside, but I'm hurting inside, and it's just, we're afraid to be judged, and we let that fear like eat at us, and it's disabling, and it's like, why should we fear? What do we have to fear? Maybe that person, maybe I opened up to someone and they didn't receive it the way I thought they would receive it, then hey, I guess we didn't have the relationship I thought we had,
It's tough when that's family.
It's tough,
like,
but you deal with it.
I was telling you, like, I had dreams of like that kind of stuff, and like I don't think my family really gets it. I mean, like, I understand it's like they try to get it, but I need to think about more like they came from a different time period.
Right. The mindset's different.
The mindset where the jobs I want to pursue, the career I want to pursue, was virtually impossible back then. And it's just tough when it's family. I think it's why I don't share much with family, just because I'm scared of that rejection, so I don't even bother. But at the same time, it's like I don't really care. I don't really talk to them about that kind of stuff too much. But yeah, I think we definitely fear being judged. Like, the reason I didn't tell you all the crazy shit I did was I don't want to be judged. Like, you don't have to lie.
True, you did say that, yeah.
Because
judgment.
what I certain things I've done, it's like you can't just. I've learned in the past you can't just tell anyone certain things. I've done it in the past, and people judge. Oh, yo, you're kind of out there. Like, it's a little much. So, but it's a good thing. I shouldn't say certain things just to people I just met. Oh my God, just over the weekend, blah blah blah.
Of course, yeah. But, you use your judgment on that part, of course, But
certain things,
certain things. I mean, to open up to your close friends, or even talking about, because it's a huge issue, mental health. Depression, and suicide, and just death in general, losing a loved one. Like, there's a grieving process that has to happen, and some people don't grieve properly. Some people don't heal properly. And it's really difficult, especially in the beginning, to even open up, to even start a conversation is hard, because you're in your own mind telling yourself all these things already, so to even get to the point where you open your mouth and say, hey, I'm having a hard time, that is hard.
Yeah. Because to me, like, I think what was nice about my friends back then, they didn't tell me, but they knew. They knew how to issue drugs, but they were nice not to like press the issue unless it was really bad, which it was certain points. But like for them just to accept it and like, okay, that's cool. Not cool, but like that's you. But it's just tough to tell someone, hey, like I'm addicted to drugs. Because the first thing they'll do is, oh, go to NA, go to A, which some people works for some people. But it's just for me, it's like I wanted to get the root to get. I wanted to get to the root of it, and like just having people. It was a tough conversation, like you know, to have with people who may not understand what it's like. Because some people are just like, well, just stop doing it. I'm like, well, I wish it was that easy. It's a little tough. You know, it's why like when certain artists pass away from drugs, like I definitely relate. This one guy, Lil Peep, I cried. I cried heavy because he was only 21, and he talked about what's crazy is like you kind of what you say, what you put into the world, you put into like what was that? What you say out there, like you put into existence or you put out in the world. He
to
talked,
the universe.
yeah, he talked mostly about like suicide, being depressed, doing drugs, and like wanting to die. But at the same time, it's like I don't think he really wanted to die. In a sense, partially it's just like that youth angst or like I hate my life kind of thing. He died from a Xanax overdose, and it turns out that the Xanax he had, there was something else in there that wasn't supposed to be there. Fentanyl, which is a big issue in the drug community, where like fentanyl is like it's exponentially stronger than heroin, and so like people who take fentanyl half the time don't know what's in it, what it's in their drugs. So when he died, I just straight up cried. I couldn't believe it. Actually, Gio broke the news to me like that morning, like no way he died. And then throughout the day, I was like, oh my god. And like listening to his music now is super eerie, but back to it, it's like I can definitely relate like being in that position. I go through that here and there, but not as much. But it's just it's tough to talk about because for drugs in general, like if you tell someone like, oh yeah, I do drugs, like, oh. Back then maybe like it's I think it's more acceptable now. I find out more and more people that I know or I'm around, they do certain things like, oh, okay, I wasn't just alone. But back then, maybe 10 years ago, oh my gosh, you do drugs. Other than weed, oh, you're weird, you're sketchy. You know? And like, it's, I mean, to a degree,
I think because you hear stories, right?
You hear stories.
Yeah, you hear those stories and you have this like negative connotation and stuff like that. And you don't always believe what you hear though.
Yeah, but like you said, it's tough to open up to tell someone, hey, like, I think I have an issue. Or because you're afraid of like them judging you. I've been judged, and I remember one time I went in my old apartment. All my friends were there, giving me an intervention. You know what they did after? They're trying to get coke, and I'm like, really? Like, really? You're the people trying to give me an intervention, and you're trying to, oh hey man, like I'm trying to call so and so, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think having like a really good support group really helps, you know, and one that's just really like solid and wants to see you through, you know, and wants to see that you're, you know, on a good path. Like when you were saying that, I kind of thought of the solidarity circle that we did. And one of the girls had mentioned that she wished someone would have approached her, like a friend would have approached her to say like, hey, do you need help? Or like, you know, like, is there anything I can do to help you out, or like a professor or something like that, but just someone, right? And it's like, yeah, we need that, you know, like even myself, like if I see someone's down or like whatever, I'd be like, hey, you all right, anything I can do? But just kind of letting people know like, hey, you can talk to me, or like I'm safe, you know. And I think, yeah, you kind of needed that at that time, like to see like who you can open up to, like who would be receptive to you, you know, to like help you out. Kind of sucks that they weren't that.
But I had a couple of friends that were super close, and they were like understanding. You know, I guess because they're in the same boat too. Also, too, with like being like someone there to like being someone's soundboard can also sometimes get very emotionally draining. And I think it's good to like realize when their issues are taking a toll in your life. Because sometimes it's cool to like, you know, vent, but like if you're doing a lot to a certain person, if you're hearing a lot of it, you manifest that energy. And I think it's good to like be aware of that and maybe say, hey, maybe you should also get professional help because I can only help you so much.
True. You can only be a friend so much, and I've gotten that too, and especially being in like the field that I wanted to get into before social work. You know, you hear a lot of issues from other people, and you kind of have to soak that in. And when I was going through training, like DV training, sexual assault training, and then working with social workers in Little Tokyo Service Center, they're big on self-care. And that was one place where I learned like you really have to take care of yourself, especially being a social worker and dealing with people's issues, and it's just really tough. And my sister-in-law too, she works in Department of Mental Health, and like self-care is very, very important because you can't just take in all this stuff, and like really it's like it weighs you down, and like you said, it really affects you. So you have to take care of yourself to be able to take care of others, and if you're in a place where you're trying to be someone's support system, like you really have to take care of yourself because you're soaking in all the stuff that they're throwing at you, all this stuff they're trying to get out of themselves, they're throwing it onto you and hoping that you'll be that soundboard to protect them, like to listen to them and like support them, but you have to be strong for them, so you have to take care of yourself. And like self-care is anything that helps you take care of you, like whether it be going out and screaming, or crying. Crying is a great release. Plants, I love plants. Surrounding yourself with plants. It's anything. Getting your nails done, getting your hair done, going shopping, a little retail therapy. Like self-care, it can be anything, but we all need it, and that's one of the big things.
What are some advice you have since you've done some training, what are some tips and insights you can give about self-care, like how to manage self-care, how to go about doing it?
You can start anywhere. Like I started thinking like, well, what can I do for self-care? What do other people do, right? And like girls are like, women are always like, oh, get your nails done, get pampered, because women like to get pampered. And I love my massages just like anybody else. I love getting massages. I like getting my nails done, but it can get kind of pricey. I like getting pedicures, but for me, I think self-care is like, I started journaling again. So yeah, for me, journaling is a big one. I think I always kind of gravitate towards writing when I'm feeling down for some reason. And I'm trying not to do that because some of my poems and some of my stuff, like they sound really sad and like kind of dark.
That's part of it.
It's like a real emotion. Yeah. But at the same time, like I don't want it to always be sad, like when I look back on some of the stuff that I write, I'm like, dude, that was a dark time. Or like I look back and I'm like, oh man, I was so sad right there. Sense. So I wanted to be, I used to write like every day. And when I was little, I used to write short stories. Trip out, huh? That was funny.
That's cool.
I used to write like little short stories. And I don't know why, but my aunt would get so pissed that I was writing. She would take my stuff and just throw it out or like rip it up and throw it out. And I'd be like, dude, that sucks. And I think that kind of stopped the writing process for a little bit. But like in like grade school, high school, I used to love free writing. So I'd always do like brainstorm. They always tell you brainstorm, free write whatever it comes to mind, right? In college, I did the same thing. I'd always just free write. And I never thought I was a really good writer just because I would just write random shit. But I guess I was pretty good at writing essays and stuff. But journaling is a big one. Like I would try to journal every day, but we get a little sidetracked, and so instead of journaling, I would do like a poem or like I would just try to write something, maybe my thoughts for the day or like what I ate or something, just because it feels like I'm releasing something.
Is there like a big difference from you from just writing on a journal, actual pen and paper, to like typing something on your computer?
Yeah, I kind of feel the difference. So I've noticed like if I have a lot going on, I'll start typing just because I can type faster than I write, So if I have a lot going on that I just want to get out and I just want to get it out of me, I'll just open my laptop or I'm at work and I'll open a Google Doc and I'll just be like typing whatever comes to mind that I just want to get out because I can just type a lot faster. But when I'm like at home or if I have chill time or if it's like downtime, I like to write, like handwrite in a journal. And sometimes I don't have my journal with me. I'm not carrying it around. I'll just take paper out and just scribble. Like I have Post-it notes, like folded Post-it notes, or I'll have like notepads, ripped out paper with just like random rhymes that I wrote, or a random thought or a quote that I heard that I really like. Like I'm a big quote person, so I like to jot down. So I really like that, so I'll jot it down. Because one thing I learned when I was, doing network marketing, journaling was a big thing, like writing down all your taking notes. And I've always been a big note taker, even before that part of my life. Like I would always just write shit down. Like notes were like a big thing. You know me in class. I'm like
the best notes.
Yeah, like I literally write everything Uba says, and
Yeah.
she knows that now. Like literally every word, and I'm like, slow down.
Yeah.
But like I'm a big note taker, and so I just like jotting down like quotes, things I've heard, because we can only retain so much. People are like, oh, I'll remember that. Oh, I'll remember that. And one thing I've learned, like in business, it's like, no, you're not going to remember everything. You need to document and you need to write it down, because you will forget. And like I've had moments where I'm like, I need to write that, and then I'll go find something to write on. And I'm like, shit, what was I gonna write? You know? And I'm just like, ugh.
When you journal, do you write in like complete sentences? Like,
Nope.
Okay, because I always thought to myself, do I have to write complete sentences?
No.
And no, okay. You
Like
just
if
write.
you ever read anything I write, it's like I think it's so convoluted. Like when it's literally just me writing down whatever I'm thinking in my head, it's like, yeah, and so blah blah blah, blah. And I don't know, I don't know why I'm thinking that way. Like dot 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 dot. I don't know. I pause right now, and I'm like, you know, I'm like. And just whatever comes to mind. Like I've written a couple emails to like people I'm close to, and it's literally something like that, where it's just my thought process, and I'm writing literally every word that I'm thinking right now. I'm not even gonna proofread this, and there's spelling errors, but this is literally what I'm thinking right now, you know? And so that's the way I sometimes journal. And sometimes I'm like real intellectual, right? I'm like really thinking about what I want to write. So yeah, sometimes I'll do full sentences, but for the most part, if I'm just journaling just to journal to get my thoughts out, it's not very organized. And like I skip, you know, it's not very organized at all.
Maybe you should journal. I think I wrote a survey for work the other day, and I was like, damn, I haven't written on like paper and pen
In so long,
man.
right?
Is that ever like weird? I mean, I guess your work you have to write stuff on paper.
Not all the time, but yeah, like when you scribble and
Is it
take notes.
Is it like a not dying art, but do you ever feel like, wow, we don't use pens and paper as much?
I do.
I know with school, a lot of stuff now is like being transitioned from smart phones and iPads and laptops. I mean, one thing, it's environmentally friendly, but the art of writing. I have messy handwriting. I don't like it, but it's like, I don't know, something about.
Yeah, I think what really is dying is like a personal note, or like a personal letter, or like a personal thank you. You know, like we can take notes and write little things here and there, you know, fill out forms, and, you know, like the paper and pen isn't going to go away, you know, but I think what's really dying down is taking the time to like write just like a thank you note, or like taking the time to write like a letter or something, you know. I think that's really what's dying down.
Because now there's text, email, social media.
Yeah, and it's not personal anymore, you know? Like, I actually wrote a card today for a coworker that's leaving. She's being transferred. And I like writing, filling out, like, greeting cards, you know? But I did this thing where, so I'm trying to start this new thing where I'm, like, recording, like, the things I craft or, like, things I do. And I like to write cards in the shape of a heart.
Oh,
so when you're writing something, you just write it to where it shapes a heart. And I mentioned it to a few of my friends, and they're like, how do you do that? And like, I've given cards, and my friends are like, oh, like one friend, she's like, I used to do that, but in a circle. I never did it in a heart. And I'm like, oh, I have a thing for hearts. So that's why I do things like that. But yeah, I think that's dying. And I think it feels nice having a handwritten, you know, note, a handwritten greeting, you know, and I enjoy words and I enjoy writing, you know. And so for me, it's like, it's a release, you know, but it's not for everyone.
Right.
Like bullet journaling, or like bullet planners, I can't get on that. I can't get on that train, you know. Like I got so many planners before, and I would probably fill in like the first few pages, and then it just die down because it's just not for me. So journaling isn't for everyone.
Yeah, but I heard that someone who I know who's been in the NA program for 10 plus years, writing stuff down and talking to people is a big step in sobriety and getting your feelings out there, because like you said, something about writing things down, I think you manifest into existence, or you bring it out into light.
You put it into the universe. You know, it's not in your head anymore. You know, it's actually out somewhere, and it feels good because you're like, it has that, I don't know, yeah, like you said, it just has that
cathartic. You hear that term? I forgot what it's
cathartic feeling.
Cathartic feeling.
Sure.
Yeah, because it's essentially you're bringing it out to light.
Yeah, and it feels good. Like I enjoy it, and just writing like little rhymes, like things that aren't even like super, intellectual, like super deep, like just something fun, something small, like that helps,
I used to in high school make everyone's birthday cards.
Aww.
I'd have a bunch of magazines. I get a blank piece of paper. I cut out certain things and piece up like happy birthday and like their favorite, like, I don't know, something that they like in there, or add my touch to it. And that felt very rewarding.
Yeah, it feels good, right?
As opposed to buying like a birthday card.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I miss snail mail.
Yeah.
Call it. And like I remember in high school or like middle school, you have like your love notes or like things you pass and put them in a plastic bag and you look at them, you'll smell it, you look at it, because like the fragrance or just like the smell of the paper it makes you reminisce of like, man, like, that time. And then
it makes you feel special. Like someone took that time out, to like send you something or like write you something, and like I like to let people know that they're special to me, or like that I care about them, or that they have a place in my life and in my heart, and like for me that means something, so I like to transfer that feeling to the people that I care about, so
I send people I care about memes.
Yes, memes are great.
Yeah,
they make you smile.
And then I started making my own, which are fun. Customizing them to like
they're cool. They're cool. I enjoy it.
Thank you.
I can't believe, because I've been under a rock, literally. Yeah. Like no, because there was someone else that was like, dude, you don't know anything about memes. Like there's this whole other life that you don't know. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of things that I don't know. I've been literally like, I haven't caught up on any shows, any movies, like while I'm in school, pop culture, all that stuff. I've been literally, I just,
If there's one thing I can tell someone, look at memes. Just because that is the gateway to pop culture, movies, any reference, any TV show, anything.
Dude, for real. Like so many memes I'm like reading and I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. like all the ones I don't get either. But there's just like clever ones I like, and then I just like to stay ahead of the curve. This is one meme. Like this is new template that's out. I gotta like test it out. But
cool.
But I think, I don't know, something about it is nice, and then
and they make you laugh. They brighten your day, for real.
It's
like I find myself laughing so much.
It's good. That makes my day.
No, yeah, I'm like, oh, that's funny. That's good.
That something like laughter is the best medicine.
For real, it is totally.
Because maybe our attention span is just so short. I don't watch comedy movies. I'd rather look at like an hour, 2 hour, 3 hours of memes as opposed to watching a comedy. I've done it. Like, oh my god, I just like went to a meme K-hole, just like deep into like, oh my god, this is so funny. I like dog memes.
Yeah,
but
a lot of people do that. I've come to notice.
Yeah, but
and I'm like, okay, I guess that's a thing now.
Yeah, but I really like to tell people that I do care about them while they're here, while I can.
And we have to.
We have to.
Yeah, we do. Because life is short, dude. Life is so short, and tomorrow definitely isn't guaranteed.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's cliche to say, but it's true. And I was thinking like these past few days, I'm like, all these cliches, like they're cliches because there is some truth to them, and it happens. And I mean, I've experienced it for myself in my life. Life is short. And we have to appreciate the people that are in our life, and the people that make a difference in our life, the people who support us, the people we love, even the people that we hate because they make us stronger, and the people that hate on us because they make us feel better.
That's true. Yeah.
So, like, appreciate all that, and do you,
Definitely.
It's like we have to take care of ourselves too,
Yeah.
For sure.
Most of my tattoos are for friends I have.
Oh, I'm gonna get one soon.
Probably. Honestly, I was thinking about getting. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I was thinking of getting one for you guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm running out of room though. But like, I think it's the point where like I gotta stop because, not like I gotta stop, but like a good amount of my tattoos are for like it's not. Lately, they've been for like art purpose. Like I like how they look, and most of them they're just for women in my life. Like, not even in like a romantic term, in a romantic sense, but like most of my life is like most of my friends have been. I have a lot of guy friends too, but most of people that shaped me in my life were women. They're the ones that told me like, hey, this and that, or like I have a lot.
They've impacted your life
in a very positive way, and forever grateful. And yeah, I don't know where I got it from there, but that's my way of showing I care for them. Like, hey,
That's cool.
yeah,
Thanks.
of course. Anything else we can talk about? Like, any like advice, any life advice you can give for, you and I were not the traditional college kids. We graduated a little older, so we've been there.
Yeah.
As the proverbial term, we've been there, we've been around the block. We've seen it happen. We've seen more than one Matrix.
Yeah, strangely, I was, I mentioned this to you too. Like, to me, I feel like my life isn't interesting, right? I feel like I just live like this boring life. I'm just like some other person. It's no big deal. Nobody cares, And when I open up and tell stories to certain people of things that have happened to me in my life, they're like, damn, really? Or like, what? Or like, I would have never, or like, damn, So I was actually thinking like, dude, I think I've lived like 100 lives and like, but have I really lived?
It's true. Yeah, it's interesting. Like we're alive, we're breathing, we're conscious most of the time. I don't think we're conscious most of the time.
Subconscious.
I think it's
conscious.
Like, because I think to me consciousness is like when you're present in the moment.
True.
How often are we thinking about something else when we're supposed to be?
True. And that's one thing that I try to practice a lot too. Yeah, you have to like be in the moment wherever you are, like fully there, 100%. And yeah, it's difficult. We have a lot of distractions. We're constantly thinking, and that's fine. We're human beings. We have to be thinking all the time, But you're right, to just be fully there, and like how I was talking about Mont Blanc earlier, like just to be there in that moment and feeling all the feels, but also having like a completely blank mind and being at peace and in awe, like in that moment it was like everything was just like wow, And yeah, it's true. I thought of that because of that. I thought of a quote that was what is it? Life isn't measured by the number of breaths you take, but by the number of breaths that take your breath, or by the number of moments that take your breath away.
Interesting.
Right? Okay. So I started thinking like, dang, how many moments have I had that were like that were just like, wow. Or like you were just so there with either a person or like so there like in a moment or so there like in a place, And yeah, I mean, I didn't think my life was super interesting. I still don't really think it is.
I think that's you being humble and modest.
No, I really don't think it is, but I think certain parts of my life.
Well, no, I mean, I agree. Like with that said, it's like, well, no, with me too. Like, I mean, honestly, this like my life consists of work, podcasting, music, tattoo shop, hang out with friends. I don't travel.
That's cool though. Like some people will be like, wow, podcast.
But I
rapping, like I can't rap.
Right, but like
I tried.
Okay.
No,
most of I mean, but like people go out, travel. I honestly, what I think is, as long as you're doing what you like, that's an interesting life. Because some person may perceive what you're doing as like interesting. I was like, well, no.
I'm just doing my thing. Yeah.
What I like about podcasting too, you have to be present, or you're gonna have a shitty podcast. Because if you keep forgetting if you don't know if you're not in tune with the present, and you don't know and you're like spacing out, and you're not listening to what the person's saying, and oh, what? That's recorded. You're gonna know you're not paying attention. That's
for real? Yeah.
So shout out Professor Matsu, active listening.
Active listening is key.
That's the one thing I took from his class. Active listening. That's like, I forgot about peer mentoring. I mean, peer mentoring is great.
Yeah.
I got into VSA because of peer mentoring. One of the reasons.
One thing Aaron and I say to each other, like when we know we're not listening, or like, you're not listening. Yeah. Hello. But active listening is very key. You're right. It's very key.
Yeah.
But let's see. Back to your question. Where was I going with that?
Oh, being present.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just because, like, I think anxiety is caused when we think about the future too much, because we can only think about now. I mean, sure, it's good to like prepare and prep, but if you live in the future, you're not living in the present. And then when you live in the past, it's all depression. Like, oh, those are the good old days. Those are fun days. Or like you're looking in the future. Oh, things will be better then, but right now it's shitty. But like, it's easier said than done.
Yeah,
it's just being present. You're more aware. Like, you're tying your shoe. You're doing anything. Like, I'm here in school with Karen doing a podcast on a Friday.
Friday's routine.
Friday routine.
No, and it's cool. And
Yeah.
then like I don't know what type of advice, like
Like, I mean, just for
don't
anyone.
be afraid to ask for help.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think that's a big one.
Mhm.
Like just opening up. I mean, you don't have to divulge in all the details, right? Like, I mean, just starting to have a conversation, just
Mhm.
talking to someone, whether it be your friend or, I mean, therapy is a big one. I realized so much when I was in therapy, and like people still have this negative connotation with therapy. And dude, therapy is amazing.
Mhm.
Like counseling's amazing. Having someone to talk to and like having them really like not fully understand, but like you have someone to actually talk to and like they'll listen.
Professional help.
Yeah, and it's professional. They've gone through the schooling, they've gone through all that. They kind of have an idea, you know, and it truly helped me realize like the traumatic things that happened in my life.
Mhm.
And I was in denial a lot. Like I would be like, it happens to everyone, or I would invalidate my own feelings. You know, like, well, that person went through that and they were able to do that. So like I don't see why I'm not able to, or like I don't see why I'm hung up on that, or like I would just dismiss whatever happened to me like it was no big thing, but it was actually a really big deal. You know, so therapy helped me realize all that, and I'm a better person for it because awareness is a big thing. Like becoming aware of the things that happen to you, becoming aware of the things that you say, becoming aware of the things that are being said to you. Like awareness is key too, you know, like we have to, especially in our environment too, like the political environment and like all this stuff. It's like we can't be blind, you know, and it's like even all the discrimination and racist shit that we get, it's like we knew it was problematic, you know, but then we're like, you know, so being aware is key, and seeking help is one of the big advice that I give. Like, don't be afraid. And even if you feel like you have no one to talk to, you know, like there's always somebody there. Like you have to have a friend somewhere. You know, there is at least just one person that you can open up to, and that person could be that resource that you need.
There's hotlines.
Yeah, and there's hotlines. There's crisis centers. You know, I did have to reach out to a crisis center, you know, in one point in my life, and I have to say that whoever that person was that I spoke to truly helped me through a big part of my life. And I will never know who she was. She will never know who I am. But she drastically supported me that day, and she drastically changed my life because I was able to open up and tell her everything, you know. And that, if you want to stay anonymous, you know, it's perfectly fine. You don't have to share everything, you know, but there's always support somewhere, you know. If you seek and ye shall find, you know, that it's there. Like just have enough strength in you to look for help and ask for help, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a big pride thing, and I think also with our society, it's like an independent thing, and sometimes like
sometimes it's a shame thing.
Yeah, also, I mean, in Asian culture, a lot of it, it's like, I don't know about asking for help, but I just felt like, I don't know.
It's an independent thing too. Yeah, where it's like, it's okay, I can do it by myself. Yeah. I got this.
And also, and it's crazy with like a lot of Asian cultures. I don't know how it is now, but like mental health is like not it's like a non-existent issue.
Because people don't believe it's true.
Yeah. It's all in your head.
Yeah. Oh, the person can get over it. Or that person, they're just making a big deal out of nothing. Yeah. It's like, okay, oh, they just want attention.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Back to the awareness thing, when I went to counseling here, I told the counselor, like, yeah, like, I'm aware I do drugs, like, I do this and that, and she goes, you're pretty self-aware of this. And then in my head, I'm like, damn, what sucks is, like, I'm aware, but I don't do anything about it.
But you're getting to that step.
Yeah.
You know, like, being aware of what you do, what you say, and what you're, you know, all that stuff, that's part of it, you know? Some people don't have that awareness.
It's tough, yeah. Aaron and the counselor both said that healing isn't linear. So when the counselor said if you relapse, don't feel too bad about it, but just be aware of it. And I've definitely relapsed like a good amount of times.
All part of the process.
But like I'm more aware of it, and like I don't beat myself up, because I would beat myself up. Like, oh man, what's the point? I'm just gonna do it again. But I just try to get back up and like, hey, like it's a new day, kind of thing. So yeah. So other than getting help, like, do you have any other advice for, like, I don't know, colleagues or friends who just got out of college or just, you know, like, kind of feeling lost? You know, just because you and I felt that feeling, we've been through it.
Still going through it a little bit.
But, like, we have some sort of direction.
Yeah, so just to share my experiences with that, I mean, I was feeling really lost too. You know, just graduating, having gone through that whole long academic career, flying off to Europe for a month, coming back, not feeling anything, like feeling just super sad, you know. And then I was lost because I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm sitting around wasting time. Like, I need to do something that like drives me. I need to find like something I'm passionate about, you know. And I was volunteering. I started volunteering, and that in itself kind of happened. Like, it was kind of weird because I went to an interview for SAT training that Friday. I got back and started talking to the girl that was interviewing me, but it was very informal. We did it over lunch. And started telling her like, yeah, you know, I work, you know, full time at this place, but I'm not happy, and it's not what I'm passionate about. I want to do something that's more like involved. You know, I want to be part of the community. I want to be like an advocate. I enjoy talking to people, and I enjoy hearing people's stories, you know, and I just want to be in it, you know. And like for me, that's where I feel like, wow, I think I'm doing something, you know. And volunteering brings that out in me, and like I feel it. And it was funny because she was like, oh, well, they're doing some, like, I volunteer, you know, here with this organization, which was CCED. She was like, they're actually doing something this Sunday. I don't know if you're free. And I had just gotten back from Europe. I wasn't doing anything, you know. I was like, yeah, I think I'm pretty free, you know. And she was just like, well, they're going to be talking to tenants about tenant rights. And I told her, like, oh, I used to be a paralegal, and I worked in landlord-tenant law. She was like, oh, well, they need people like you. And I was like, oh, okay. She was like, yeah, it's going to be in Chinatown, and a lot of the residents, you know, they speak Chinese. I was like, oh, I speak Canto. She was like, oh my God, they need you, awesome. You know? So I was like, oh, I'm willing to lend a hand, sure, you know, and I like volunteering. So that brought me to CCED on Sunday, and we went door knocking, and I'm not afraid to talk to people because I've, you know,
sales experience.
Yeah, gone through that already. So cold calls, cold people, no issues with me. But Chinese, I was like, oh man, I need to brush up on my Canto because there were so many times. I mean, when the people actually open the doors to speak to you, because you know Chinese people, they're very like, nobody's home, nobody's home, doors closed, don't open the door, don't ring it, we hear you, don't do it. And I'm just like, oh hi, and I speak Chinese. I'm just a volunteer, and oh shit, she speaks Chinese. Damn, you know. So I'm like, oh, we're just helping, but I find myself just like, what's the word for rent again? Shit, you know, or like, you know. So I was just like, I need to work on my Chinese so bad, but I was able to connect with some people, which was great. And like for me, it was like at least I knew enough Chinese to carry on a conversation because it's like I'm talking to my family, you know. So I was able to connect with some people, which was great. And that kind of made me feel like, hey, maybe this is where I need to be. You know, I even mentioned it before where I have the experience, you know, I've worked in a law firm, I have all that experience, and I wanted to be able to not just disregard what I've learned and my certificate and my degree and all that stuff, but I wanted to be able to find some way to merge it, right? And I think that's it. Like I can use the experience I had working in, you know, landlord-tenant law. I can work on my Chinese, you know, and I can work with the community because there aren't a lot of Canto speakers out there. And to be able to translate and help people who don't fully understand, you know, the language with legal jargon is, you know, it's a big deal, you know, and that kind of made me feel like, wow, I think this is really where I need to be, you know, this is really where I need to be. And like finding and realizing those feelings and that passion and whatever drives you is very, very important. So for me, like going through this whole process and just trying to figure out, like, I made that decision in these past few weeks of being sad that I need to do something that means something to me. I need to really follow that passion. And it's scary because everybody talks about do what you love, blah, blah. But when it gets down to it, people get scared, and it is scary. Yes. How am I going to get paid? You know, how am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to pay my bills? And trust me, when I started telling people what I was really thinking, they're like, I don't know, Karen, like you really need to have something before, you know, you stop something else. Because I'm making some big moves now, and it's in the works, so I don't really want to say exactly what it is. But part of it is being an entrepreneur. You know, part of it is going off and doing my own thing. Because I craft, and I like doing stuff like that. And a lot of times when I make something, people are like, how the hell did you make this? Or like, oh, this is cool, you know? And to me, it comes naturally to where I accidentally come up with stuff. Like I want, like in my mind, I have something I want to make, but in the end, it comes out a little different, but it comes out better because I accidentally did that, you know? So I'm going to start like capturing some of that, and I want to be able to share the things that I make, you know? So I'm going to start doing like crafty things. I might open up my own Etsy shop depending on
So cool.
like what I choose to make and
Awesome.
do. So I might do that, and I want to basically share how I do things. So I might possibly open up my own channel and like share some of my craft stuff. So that's going to be in the works, and because I'm passionate about that. And then I wanted to work at a nonprofit or somewhere where I can be directly with the community and help people that I've either already started helping or people that obviously need my help, you know, or where I can make an impact somewhere. So I'm going to transition into that, working with the community, volunteering. If I can't get into, you know, a nonprofit, then definitely volunteering is a big thing. And I think that's one of the things that I highly recommend for people to do too. Like volunteer in places where you feel like that's where you want to be, or like if you're not sure, volunteer and see if that's where your passion really lies, because you won't know unless you're actually doing it, you know. And these organizations and companies or whatever, they need people, they need volunteers, and they'll welcome any volunteer because they're not paying you for anything, you know. But it's so humbling and it's so rewarding and it's so fulfilling, you know, for me to just connect with people and like find a way to figure out like how can we help them, or like what do they need, like finding that need and being able to fulfill it, you know. Like I like that. And I was telling you earlier, like I met up with someone who kind of showed me around Chinatown yesterday, and I was like super thankful. Like I was just like, wow, how nice, you know. And it's so great. And this organization like CCED is like completely volunteer based, so it's people who are doing this work because they really want to, like it's their passion, like they really want to help people, you know. And for me, I'm like, wow, that's so great, you know. And it reminds me that there are people out there that care, you know. There are people out there who out of just the goodness of their heart want to help, you know. And it's like a dying breed, you know. Like when you're kind and you're nice to someone, people are like, why are you so nice? Or like, why? You don't have to do that. Like, that's not in your job description. Or like, you don't have to help them. They don't help you. It's like, so what? I don't help people because I want them to help me back. I don't help people, you know, like I don't expect anything in return. Like I want to help you because I want to help you. I see that there's a need and I want to fulfill that need. I don't say, hey, I'm going to do this for you, but remember me, okay? Like when I come back and like you're rich, like remember, no, like come on, dude. Like that's the wrong, that's mindset. The hidden agenda. You know?
I think with that is when people kind of lose sight and just
they lose sight of what they do.
They like expect things. Like I don't expect much. I mean, right now, like I'm part of the label I'm signed to, or part of. Like I'm not getting paid at the moment, but like I love the work. Dude, I make videos for people and like just helping out with emails and talking to them. And he's like, dude, thank you so much. I'm like, dude, like this is all I dreamt of. Like, I mean, the money will come later on, but just doing something you love to do.
That's way more meaningful.
Yeah, because money will come and go. But it's just crazy how people just have expectations. Oh, like you helped me, you didn't help me out. I helped you out, you didn't help me. I mean, certain things, but like I don't expect much. I don't expect much of like a, you know, return. I mean, like my boss, like / mentor, he featured me in his songs. I'm like, I would have never asked you for that. I would have never in a million years ever asked, like, hey, can I be in your song? He asked me, and then he wanted to be on my songs.
And like, that's totally cool.
Yeah, and I was like, I never would have guessed this, and that's so cool. But like, I'm super grateful. But like,
because of the type of person you are, though, you know, it's like you don't have to ask for things. Like if you're cool and you're like willing and you're helpful and you know you just do what you feel is right. Like that's one thing. Like just follow your heart. You know, follow your heart, follow your gut, follow your instinct. Do what you feel is right. You know, and you put it out in the universe, and you know the universe will take care of you.
I think part of it is Asian American studies.
Yeah, that too, for sure.
I think a lot of it was being able to listen, being able to step back, being aware of my male privilege, and not always being the one talking, but just being in the background, listening. I think me listening has done more than me talking.
Oh, for sure, because you learn so much. I mean, like I was telling you, just listening to people's stories, like you learn so much. And there's a quote, I forgot what it was, but it's like the wise are the people who kind of learn from other people's mistakes, you know? And it's true. Like if you're able to kind of take in whatever people say and really like digest it and like really like listen, you know, like it speaks volumes, especially talking to seniors. Because I volunteered and I was with a senior club, and I was talking to a couple of the seniors there just about like, oh, where you've lived or like your family. And they eventually start telling you stories about their life, and you just learn so much because they've lived their whole life and they've experienced so much. And like one lady was, she lived through the movement, in the 70s and the 80s, even my own family, like immigrating here, and like just talking to them, there's so much history like in their life, and you can just learn so much. And like you feel the compassion, when you talk to people about just anything, and it teaches you so much.
Yeah, even in rap, I think Jay-Z says some line like, like, what is it? He's like, he says like in a room, I'm like a dog. I don't speak, but I understand. So like it's just you just listening. I think listening is like a key that a lot of people kind of don't
practice.
Don't practice just because like when you talk, you get out there, you get your voice heard.
Yeah.
And like,
people like to talk about themselves too. That's cool. It's cool.
But also too with like listening, I feel like people have this rebuttal in their mind.
You're always thinking about the next thing they say or like the response, but like don't think about the response. Just listen to the person, and hey, if you don't want to listen, stop talking to them then. Like, you don't have to talk to them, like move on then, whatever. But yeah.
One reason I stopped doing coke or drugs around people or like being around people that do that is they just talk so much. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, dude, like, I mean, they talk my fucking ear off. Like, I'm just like, dude, I talk to you, but like, bro, it's been like 15 minutes. Yeah, you gotta chill. I was like, yo, you gotta chill. But sorry to get off topic.
No, it's cool. But you reminded me of patience.
Patience is tough.
Yeah, having patience.
I think also patience is something that is not seen as a virtue, cliche as it is these days, because everything's Instagram, instant, everything.
True.
Gary Vee, that I was talking about earlier, he mentioned three successful things in life is you have to be like passionate about something. I think about something like passion, consistency, because talent, that can, for the most part, that can be harnessed and developed and honed. So like consistency, passion, talent. One thing too is patience. People don't give it enough time. Whatever they're doing, like they'll quit in a year or two. Bro, I've been rapping 16 fucking years, maybe more. 2000, 2001, 2002. I'm bad at math, even though I'm Asian. I don't know how long that is, but like, like that's how long it took for me to get where I am. And it's like, yeah, no, that's. I didn't just start. I mean, I started rapping again a lot in 2014, but like, no, I started my roots in like 2001, 2002, Glendale, Panorama City. So like, it just shows like patience is something that people don't really. Oh, it's taking too long.
Yeah,
it's taking too long, or it's not. It's they're looking at the short term versus the
long term.
Which is
you're right. We're used to instant gratification. That's the kind of world that we grew up in.
Social media.
Yeah, social media, internet, all that stuff. But patience, and I think I have a lot of patience, like just with people in general. Like I'm a pretty patient person.
I don't think I think it's like if someone does something that kind of like makes me raise my eyebrow. It depends who they are, but sometimes I think luckily I've been fortunate not to have those kind of people because I don't even. I think now the older I get, I don't know about you, but I'm less social. I'm less like I'm less friendly. I mean, I'm friendly, but like I don't.
I think it comes with the awareness thing again. You're aware of who you surround yourself with and who you are when you're around certain people. And it's not that you've become less social. It's just you focus more on like the type of people that you do want to spend your time with. Because I think that's how I am too. Like I love people. I have a lot of friends. But it's like I only want to spend certain like quality time with certain people. And that's okay. Like we have those friends where we want to spend all day with, and we have those friends where you're like, okay, lunch and a couple hours, we're cool, but we're cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like the term hanging out, I don't do much. I hang out with certain people, but for me it's like I'm at this place because I'm like making a podcast or like
Mm.
recording or helping out / hang out at the tattoo shop, but
Mhm.
it's rare. I haven't really hung. It's rare that unless with certain people, like, oh,
Mhm.
let's hang out just to hang out. To me,
Mhm.
there has to be like, okay, like,
A
what's
reason.
that's messed up. It's kind of sad. Like, well, what's the point? Are we, But,
No, but yeah, it's like to do something or like,
yeah,
yeah, I get it.
Mhm.
But alone time's great too.
I love my alone time.
And that's perfectly fine too. Like we don't always have to be, or surrounded by people, like
I think that's what it is too. I think maybe a lot of people possibly get into relationships because they feel like society tells you need to be, or
yeah,
you won't be happy if you're alone,
true.
which I have an issue with because I'm in a relationship with like a girl in years, and at first I was like, "There's something wrong with me. Like, is there something wrong with me?"
Mm.
Because everyone else seems like they are in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought like, why am I not getting girls? Am I doing something wrong? But I realized, no, maybe I need this time to like reflect because when I was younger, I definitely like dated a lot and talked to a lot of women, which is cool and all, but it's a lot of effort, a lot of time,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have time for myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
no, yeah, that's really important.
Mhm.
Reflection, self-care, like we said,
Mhm.
self-talk, how you
Mhm.
talk to yourself. And yeah, definitely just doing you,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of stuff in your own life that you need to take care of, And when you're in a relationship, I mean, I dedicate a lot of time,
that's
to
part
the
of
other
it, though,
person.
right?
Yeah,
You have to meet halfway and
true.
compromise. But honestly,
True.
I don't see myself compromising.
I mean, maybe not
Not
now.
now,
So
but
take your
yeah,
time,
yeah.
take your time.
Because also too, I think it's because people that are close to my age, they have kids.
Yeah,
They have kids.
same.
They have kids. They're with the people that they were with a few years ago, and people are getting engaged.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like my friend was like, no, like what about you? I'm like, no, this is
You do you.
you do you,
Yeah.
and like this is what I
Mhm.
live for, like music, podcast, obviously people, but like this is what I do. It's crazy. My mom told me today, oh, I have a week off from school, like this, like trade, like this school they teach them like Excel and all this stuff, adult school.
Mhm.
I have a week off. Do you want to go to the Philippines with me in
Oh,
August?
wow.
And I'm like, no. Well, why not? Don't you want to see your cousins and your grandfather? I'm like, yeah, but not now.
Hmm.
I felt bad, and then it felt kind of bad. Like she always wants to hang out with me. I was like, well, I work. Well, I can pay for your work. I'm like, no, I don't want you to pay for my. I don't want you to. I don't want you to pay for me to go hang out with you.
Mm.
And also too, I want to do podcasts and music. Even though it's like it's only a week, but like I treat this as like a job, like an actual job. Like no, I get shit done. Like even though I clock out, do retail stuff, but I get shit done. Like
That's good. You're on it.
I wake up in the morning, thought I gotta do this, do this. Am I recording this today? That tomorrow? Gotta keep up. And to me, it's like this is most of my life, and I'm happy with it. If I don't have a relationship, I'm fine. This is what I do.
Yeah, that's your relationship. Your relationship with music.
Music, podcasting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is crazy. Like I will sacrifice family time, vacation. I want to travel, but on my own terms. And like I want to travel because I'm invited to go somewhere to like, oh, play music here, do podcasts there. Not because I don't feel, honestly, I don't deserve to just like take a vacation. Like I don't feel like I deserve it because I don't have money to fall back on. And hey, I'm gonna take a week off. See what happens after a week. It's happened before. I go to Vegas just to go to Vegas, and it's like never happens. But I don't feel I deserve it. It's not a bad thing. I just don't want to do it. This life for me. Yeah.
If you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. And you reminded me of the whole American dream thing earlier.
American dream.
The whole American dream. You come home, right? You get married. You have two kids, a dog, a white picket fence, little house, right? Nice green grass. It's like, dude, that's a facade. Come on now, So, I mean, like how you were just saying how, people just, they have this where you have to be in a relationship, or like what media tells you, or you see everyone that has like, they're married with children and they just bought a house, or they just got married, or now they're pregnant, or they've been with someone for 10 years or 5 years or 3 years, their high school sweetheart. You hear all these things and it's just like, okay, that's cool for you, but it's not for everyone. It's like the American dream. Yeah, cool, but it's not for everyone. And it really isn't the American dream.
Because in reality, 50% of people are divorced.
Yeah, my parents are divorced. I've come across so many people that grew up in dysfunctional families, dysfunctional childhood, like all that shit's fake. I mean, yeah, there are people, there are people who marry their high school sweetheart. They have a nice house with a white picket fence. They have 2 kids and a dog. More power to you. Whatever makes you happy, that's great, but it's not for everyone. Okay, is all I'm saying. I'm not knocking on my friends that have, any of that stuff. I'm not knocking on it. And it's cool, but it's
Keep
like,
talking.
dude.
I just want to make sure this is still going.
Okay.
It's probably my longest podcast ever.
Because, we keep going on and on about random shit. We can stop
No, we're good.
talking.
No. Well, it's
About
on low
random
battery, so
shit.
it's 20%.
Okay,
But,
we can wrap it up,
I
though.
will say, though, that, you're totally right. I mean, this American dream, wait, we were talking about, sorry.
No, yeah, just, it's a facade.
Mhm.
It's not for everyone. And what truly is what makes you happy.
Oh, also, too, what Tony Robbins said, when people say, oh, a dysfunctional family, name a family that isn't dysfunctional.
Right. Yeah.
And I think, people only will show in their lives what they want to show in terms of social media and life.
Of
You may
course.
think their life is perfect, but
Right.
they probably won't tell you,
Their deepest demons.
and no one, you don't say it off the bat, but people, I think with social media too is perception when we compare ourselves to other people based on the pictures
Mm-hmm.
that they purposely select to highlight their life. That's
True.
not their life 24/7.
True.
I think, I used to just compare myself and to other artists and everything, but now I look at memes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just we really don't you might have a friend, you might know a friend who just posts the happiest thing, but their life is just holy shit.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing, but it's they're going through a lot.
Yeah.
So with that said, it's just it's all about perception.
Mm-hmm. Tis true.
We will wrap it up because my phone is dying.
All good.
But thank
Nice
you.
conversations.
Yeah, as always. This could have kept going. If
we always keep going though. That's the thing.
Yeah, if my phone wasn't dying, this would have been going. This is an hour and 44 minutes.
For real. We'll talk more next time.
We will.
Next time.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the people who chose to listen to our
Yeah.
rambling.
No, I think you will. I think AS. You better listen.
AS.
AS family.
You don't have to.
You don't have to, but I think you'd want to.
Yeah.
Karen's an amazing individual.
Thank
She's a
you.
great person, and
You are too.
oh, thank you. We all are.
CSUN alum.
CSUN alum.
AS alum.
AS alum.
Woo.
All right.
SPP.
Shouts out. Thank you so much. All right.
Bye.